Welcome to Part 8 of Introduction to Climate Change Science, presented by Robert Bourgeois, Associate Professor of Anthropology and Humanities at Albertus Magnus College. This presentation was created to fulfill the requirements of a workshop at Yale University on global climate change and food security, presented through the auspices of their Program of International Educational Resources. We were discussing this chart, which shows that vast areas of the globe that are in gray or in blue that are too cold for people to live in are uninhabitable by human beings. The gray areas are desert, and they're fringed by red or orange areas which are vulnerable, either highly vulnerable or very highly vulnerable to desertification. In other words, the desert is growing and it's shrinking the areas that are habitable by human beings. And we were discussing the causes, which is the removal of vegetation through drought, climate change, agriculture, especially of monocultures, deforestation for fuel and construction materials. Vegetation plays a major role in determining the biological composition of the soil. Studies have shown that in many environments, the rate of erosion and runoff decreases exponentially with increased vegetation. Unprotected dry soil blows away on the surface with the wind, and these surfaces are washed away by flash floods, or they're vulnerable to that, leaving infertile lower soil layers that bake in the sun and become unproductive. There is a controversial thesis that is growing in the attention given it by a man named Alan Savory, who has claimed that the controlled movement of herds of livestock can reverse desertification. He argues that people have long held the mistaken view that overgrazing is the cause of the creation of desert, but that in areas of brittle grass, the grass can only return if, as in pre-modern times where wild animals were running across these areas, hoofed animals can run across the grass after the growing season when the grass has died and pulverize it so that it can penetrate into the earth. In these areas that he's talking about of grasslands, in the hot season, everything dies. And during the 5 to 8 months of the hot season, the dead grass must break down rapidly, because if it doesn't, it will oxidize and leave nothing but bare ground. But the grass will break down, that will occur with animals which have co-evolved with those grasses. Hoofed animals co-evolved with grasses. When we remove the hoofed animals, according to Alan Savory, we remove the part of the mechanism by which these grasses are broken down so that when the rains return, they can penetrate the soil. Without the animals, the rain disappears from runoff and evaporation. Now, he has experimented with bringing in herds of animals in grasslands and claims to have had great results in having desert return to grassland. So he is criticized by many, and he is considered a prophet who might help save areas from desertification by others. He says here, if we do what I'm showing you here, we can take enough carbon out of the atmosphere and safely store it in the grassland soils for thousands of years. And if we just do that on about half of the world's grasslands that I've shown you, we can take us back to pre-industrial levels while feeding people. I can think of almost nothing that offers more hope for our planet, for your children and their children, and all of humanity. Thousands of farmers, ranchers, pastoralists, and various organizations are working globally to restore grasslands through the teaching and practice of holistic management and holistic decision-making, which is taught by Alan Savory. That includes conservation projects in the United States, Africa, Mexico, Argentina, Chile, Canada, and Australia. So he aims to reverse desertification using livestock as the main agent of change to restore the environment, increase the ground cover, increase soil organic matter, and increase water retention, replenish streams, and combat the loss of biodiversity. I've left two websites here, but you can look up Alan Savory. He has a TED Talk, which right here, which go into www.ted.com, speakers/Alan Savory, and you'll find him. And see if I can get his website up and showing. It's not allowing me to do that. Let's see if that can work. We see here 1/3 of the Earth's surface is grasslands. 70% of the world's grasslands have been degraded. Loss of grasslands leads to climate change, floods, droughts, famine, and worldwide poverty. It's our mission to promote large-scale restoration of the world's grasslands through holistic management, the key feature of which is to reintroduce hoofed animals into areas of brittle grass. So that brings us to the end of this part 8, and I will return in the next screencast in part 9.